following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello, everyone. This is Rob Deininger with Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and I'm here with Jack Degraw, and we are talking Yankees baseball. How you doing, Jack?
Great. How are you today, Robert?
Not too bad. Getting over a little nor'easter we had up in Jersey.
Well, the only thing we have down here is we still have the heat. We don't have the humidity in Florida, but we still have the heat. But all is good.
Yeah, we've been in the high 50s, low 60s the last few days.
Well, Robert, what's happening is the big series is coming up that we've been talking about for like 6 or 7 months, and it'll be here tomorrow night. So, what are you looking for?
Oh, I'm looking for us to take Game 1. The Yankees haven't announced who they're going to start Game 1, but the Astros are starting Zach Greinke Game 1, Verlander Game 2, and Cole Game 3. And given what Greinke looked like in his last outing, I think we have a great chance of taking the first game in Houston, which would be huge for us. Yeah,
we were talking off air, and you said Greinke had a press conference today, and you tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it just seemed like he did not want to be there. I mean, there was no enthusiasm, there was no joy. He didn't elaborate on his answers. It was just like you didn't know if he was just being a prick or what, but he does suffer from social anxiety, and I think it could be acting up on him, because he sounded like someone who is going through something personally. I mean, because I don't think he's a jerk. I think he's suffering from anxiety at the moment, and if that's the case, if the Yankees, they'll probably be running to the plate to bat against them.
Well, I think the thing is, Robert, he's had that for his whole career, and I think it's something he's always battled, and he's overcame it for the most part. But the good thing is for him, at least the game's in Houston tomorrow. Wait till they get up in New York, and then he'll really know what social anxiety is. Yeah,
and as people know, he had a no trade clause specifically to the Yankees. He didn't want to pitch in New York. He's pitched in places like Kansas City, Arizona, now Houston. Like he seems to like those smaller market teams where the media is not hovering over you after every start.
Yeah, I believe he was with the Dodgers too, and I think he had a big year out there. But when you're in New York, I mean, the focus is on you, and there's no place like New York. When you play well, they love you, and if you don't, you're going to hear about it. So
yeah, and the Yankees haven't announced who's going to start Game 1 or the following games yet. They'll probably do that tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like we're saying off air. I mean, will they go what they did against the Twins? And by the way, the pitching and everything was excellent against the Twins. Yeah. But I mean, you're going to have Paxton, Tanaka, Sevy, or you're going to start Happ in Game 4 or Green. It remains to be seen. But with the starters, the Yankees got such a great bullpen. These guys only have to throw maybe 4 innings.
Yeah. And Tanaka, in 6 postseason starts, he's never given up more than 2 runs a game. And some people think they should start Tanaka Game 1. That way he'll pitch a couple times in the series, possibly even Game 7, if it goes that far, because he is their best big game pitcher.
Yeah, well, we'll probably know more tomorrow. I'm not sure the stats, of Paxton and, Tanaka. How did they pitch against the Astros up this year? Offhand, any the stats?
Not offhand. I do know Tanaka was 3-6 on the road. Happ was 8-3, and Tanaka was great at home. He was 8-3 at Yankee Stadium, and Paxton also was great at Yankee Stadium. He was 7-3. But as far as what they did against Houston, I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Yeah, I remember, Verlander pitching against the Yankees in New York, and he pitched a great game. But I remember LeMahieu hit a 3-run homer off him. But I know the Yankees took the series against the Astros in New York, and I think they took the series in Houston too, which is a big thing because you remember when they played a couple years ago, they couldn't score any runs when they played the Astros down, in Houston. Yeah,
this time around we got LeMahieu, we got Gleyber Torres. And Gleyber Torres had a great series against the Twins. I mean, he had 5 hits and 12 at bats, including a home run and 4 RBIs. And it was nice to see Didi hit the grand slam. He drove in 6 runs in that sweep.
Yeah, I mean, everything was working against the Twins. And now the Yankees got a crazy record. They beat the Twins 13 games in a row, I believe, in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean that's insane.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. I mean the Twins have come a long way from last year. I mean, Baldell, they've done a tremendous job, but against the Yankees, they looked like they were just lost. It's like they were never in the series.
Yeah, and Encarnacion looked great too in that series, considering he had been out for a while. He played very well too. He drove in a couple of runs and had 4 hits.
Yeah, I mean, everything on all cylinders were working against the Twins. They really, they look like the team they were all year. It'll be interesting to see how they do against the Astros, because the Astros have a lot of outstanding pitchers who are strikeout pitchers, and the Yankees got a lot of sluggers, and it's going to be fun to watch.
And CC Sabathia is going to be added to the roster, and I'm hearing Hicks is going to be added too, but I can't imagine them starting Hicks, being that he hasn't really played in 2 months. I could see them using him as a defensive replacement late in the game, but if you add Hicks, you're going to have to remove somebody, and if you remove Tyler Wade, then your infield's really thin. I think it'd be smart if they removed maybe Maben or Luke Voigt.
Yeah, because it's going to be tough. You want a guy like Wade who can play all over.
Yeah.
He can play the outfield, he can play the infield, and like you say with Hicks, I mean, he hasn't faced any pitching, like major league quality pitching in months. So, that's a tough decision. But I think they should keep Wade. That's my personal decision.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, on the year, Hicks, when he's played, I mean, he batted only .235 on the season. He only played in 59 games this year. So he only had 220 bats for the entire season. So, I mean, risky putting him on the roster at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, personally, I think they should keep Wade. It'll be interesting what they do with CeCe. I mean, he hasn't really pitched in a game in almost 2 weeks. So is he just going to come out of the bullpen, or is he going to be a starter maybe in Game 4 and pitch 2 or 3 innings? So it'll be interesting to see how the Yankees use CeCe.
Yeah, and I'm really hopefully optimistic with the series, because I mean, I think we can get to Greinke. I think Verlander, I think we can get to him. I think he can be had. Cole I worry about. Cole has, I think, 25 strikeouts in 15 innings and 2 starts this postseason. Cole's just pitching out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, Cole just looks overpowering.
Yeah.
And I mean, I believe the Yankees drafted him years ago, and he decided to go to college instead. And he's a free agent this winter, so he's coming up big at the right time. But I mean, the last 2 starts, Cole has just been incredible. He looks like a Hall of Famer. Verlander is tough, but I believe the Yankees can get to him. I think hitters like especially like LeMahieu and Torres and not the big slugger guys, can possibly get to a guy like that because they'll take the ball to the opposite field. They just won't try to, hit home runs all the time.
Yeah, Verlander in 2 games has given up 8 hits in 10 innings and 4 earned runs and 2 home runs. So I mean, he had one good outing and the other outing wasn't so great. So I think, and with the going 5 games and not having the rest, it might play into the Yankees' favor.
Yeah, I know the second time around, the Rays got Verlander pretty good. And, I think it was good, too, that the series went 5 games because it did throw the Astros rotation, in a little bit of a flux. I think he wanted to start Verlander and Cole or vice versa, game 1 and 2. At least you got a little break there.
Yeah, because, I mean, if we could take game 1, I mean, in Houston, that's big for us going back to New York, game 3, with 3 games in New York.
Now is there, how many off days are there, Robert, between, the games?
They play, let's see, they're off Monday, and if it goes to game 6, they'll be off Friday.
Oh,
so
okay.
Monday and Friday are their off days. But they play tomorrow at 8 p.m. and Sunday at 8 p.m. And I don't see the times listed for the rest of the games.
Yeah, because if they go 7, the Astros could have Cole for game 7.
Yeah.
So I mean, there was a little break. There's always a break in the games. I think they should just play. They should just play every day, and then get everything moving. And another thing, Robert, I'd like to hear your feelings on this. With the wild card game, I think they should play 2 out of 3.
So do I. I really do. I think but I don't think baseball wants that. But I think that's better. Take 2 out of 3.
Because I think you should play the day after the season, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you go into the the second round and stuff. Because just playing 1 game is like it's not going to change, like you were saying, because it's all a money grab. But I definitely think it should be a 2 out of 3 game series.
Yeah, because I mean, you could have an off day that day, and it's not indicative of what kind of team you are. I mean, the better team usually wins the series. In most cases, I think it would be better if it went to a best out of 3.
Because when you just play that 1 game, I mean, 3 out of 5 is tough. But 1 game, I mean, a couple of years ago, there was 2 teams. I think there was the Pirates and the Cardinals. They both had 100 wins, and you have a bad inning, your season's done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's like the Dodgers. I mean, everyone had the Dodgers penciled in for the World Series, and the Nats. I mean, give them credit. They took them down.
Yeah, those short series are always exciting. And what were you saying about Kershaw in Game 7, Rob? We're talking off air.
Yeah, I mean, he just struggled in the postseason. His career record's 9-11, and I think he's given up something like 26 home runs. And I don't know why they brought him in. I mean, he got the lefty out, the first batter, but you have a couple guys in the bullpen. You only need to get 5 more outs. I mean, Dave Roberts couldn't work his bullpen to get 5 more outs. He left Kershaw in there, and he winds up giving up back-to-back home runs to tie up the game.
Yeah, I know the Dodgers have had a lot of bullpen problems the last 2 playoffs, and I think in 200 and some at bats, I think Mariano only gave up 2 home runs in the postseason. I remember he gave up a big one in 2007 to Alomar, but and Kershaw gives up 2 home runs and then 3 batters. Yeah,
I mean, it just seems like he gives up at the worst possible time in the postseason. He just seems to. I don't know if you want to say choke, but I mean it's what it appears to me. He just seems to choke in big moments in the postseason.
Well, I think another thing, when you get in the postseason, you're pitching, you're hitting and pitching against the best. They've been great all year. So a lot of these guys, you're not facing, weaker competition. You're facing the guys who've been great all year. So if you don't have your A game, you're going to get knocked around a little, and that happens to a lot of guys. I mean, Kershaw's a great pitcher, but he has struggled. He's not the same in the playoffs. He's been average in the playoffs.
Yeah, and he started 25 games in the playoffs, and he's given up 24 home runs.
How many does he give up in the regular season offhand? Do you see anything, any stats there, Robert? I'm just curious.
Let's see, this year he gave up 28 home runs during the regular season, and that's high for him. He normally gives, I'm looking here, 11, 9, 15, 8, and then the last 3 years it was 23, 17, and this year 28.
Wow. See, I didn't realize. I mean, that's an interesting stat, to say the least.
Yeah, because he's not known to give up a lot of home runs, especially to lefties. But the last few years, it seems he's home runs have been going up. I wonder if it's all the injuries he's dealt with over the years catching up.
Yeah,
to him.
I mean, he's really struggled. He definitely doesn't seem like the same pitcher. And I mean, I'm sure you remember how good like David Wells was in the playoffs, and especially El Duque. You remember how excellent El Duque was in the playoffs?
Oh yeah, I mean he was like a savior that season for the Yankees.
Yeah, his record was something I like 8-1, I believe, in the playoffs. I mean, he always came out big, and Wells had some big games, and that's what makes those guys something special. Andy Pettitte with 19 wins, so just they perform great under the lights.
Yeah, and I'm interesting to see how Stanton, even though he didn't have that great of a series, he had only one hit and 6 at bats, but he did have he did have 4 walks and drove in a run. But it'd be nice to see him get going, and Judge. It'd be interesting to see what kind of lineup Boone puts out for this series.
Yeah, I mean, didn't they have Brett Gardner hitting third one game, and
yeah.
You wonder.
I think he had Gardner batting third the entire series.
Yeah, and I don't even remember Brett Gardner hitting third much all season.
Yeah, and he had a home run. He drove in 3 runs. He went 3 for 12. He also struck out 5 times though too.
Yeah, I think, when you get against the strikeout pitchers, you don't want to have all the, the power guys back to back to back, because it could get to be a strikeout fest. So I think you want to put maybe Gardner, Torreyes, and even, if you can't Boyd on the roster, LeMahieu, you want to mix it up a little, because you don't want to see all the big sluggers back to back, because, you might have, you got dead spots in the lineup if they're not hitting.
Yeah. And I'm looking. Yeah, Didi led them with 6 RBIs, and LeMahieu and Torres had 4. I mean, if they can get that kind of production from those 3 guys in this series, I mean, they should do all right. I mean, this is going to be a fun series. I do think we have a better chance of winning than we did last time we faced them.
Yeah, well, I think a couple years ago, the Yankee team just snuck up on everybody, and they hit great in New York, but they just couldn't produce anything down in Houston. I think in the 4 games they only scored 3 runs. So when you get down to it's who plays better that night. So
yeah.
It'll be great, because we've talked about it all year, and Yankee fans have been looking forward to this all season, and it's less than 24 hours away.
Yeah, and I if we could take Game 1, which I really think we can, and if we can steal Game 2, if we can go up 2-0 right away, I mean that's a gift. Yeah,
I mean, at the very least, you at least want to get a split in Houston because Cole is going to be he's going to be a tough one to overcome. Not saying they can't do it, but he's going to be a toughie.
Yeah, this should be a fun series. I mean, I'm interested to see what kind of lineup he puts out because I like Torres. I would like to see Torres batting third, and with Judge batting second and LeMahieu leading off. I think those three to start off the lineup would be good.
Yeah, because LeMahieu is going to go. He can hit all over. Judge. All the Yankees, they got a good eye at the plate. They wait out the pitches, so that's a big plus in their favor. But I think, when you have Torres hitting third, you've got somebody who's got power, but also, he can just hit the ball to, the other field too. So, you just don't have power up and down the lineup, strikeouts.
Yeah. And Edward Encarnacion, I wouldn't mind seeing him back cleanup, keeping him in the cleanup spot. I mean, he seems like a big game player. I mean, for a guy who hadn't played, who had been injured, to come into the Minnesota series and play as well as he did, I think he'll be a big help, a big asset in this series too.
Yeah, he's been an excellent hitter, excellent player for a long time. He really did come up big. Against the Twins. He had a lot of singles and he come up with some clutch hits and, that's a guy who could be, the difference maker too.
Yeah. And even though Judge didn't drive in any runs, he batted he was 3 for 9 in the series and he had 4 walks to only 1 strikeout. So Judge seems to be dialed in at the plate. So, I mean, if that's the case, I mean, he could be due for a big series against Houston.
Yeah, I mean, even though a lot of the guys didn't hit, Judge didn't hit too much and Stanton didn't, they still got that great eye. So the thing is, I don't know how good the Astros bullpen is, but I think, the Yankees have a big advantage, in the bullpen. So if you can, even if you don't score a lot of runs against Verlander and Cole and Greinke, if you get later in the game and you can make them throw 80 to 100 pitches in the first 5 innings. Of course, Verlander's an animal. He can go 120 pitches. But, maybe with Cole and those guys, if you can get them to 90, 100 pitches in the 4th or 5th inning, that's a big advantage to the Yankees.
Yeah, I know the Houston manager today was talking about how impressive the Yankees bullpen is and how they got guys who can throw hard and righties who can pitch to lefties, and how Boone's done a good job of using his bullpen this year. So they're aware of how good their bullpen is and how they can, go to the bullpen if needed right away, which, to help them win games. So that's on the Astros' mind.
Yeah, because, against the Twins, I think the starters went 13 in the 3rd inning or so. So, and talking, you want your starters to go 5 innings. Maybe with the Yankees, they only have to go 4.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think Tanaka was the only one that went 5 innings. Tanaka pitched 5 innings. Paxton went 4 2/3, and Severino pitched 4.
Yeah, Severino, he pitched great when, they had the bases loaded and no outs.
And that was impressive.
Yeah, he really come up big, and I think whatever life the Twins had, that just took the air out of the balloon.
Yeah, and I just can't believe it's game 1's tomorrow night, and you got the Nats and Cardinals playing tonight. Before we know it, the World Series will be here.
Yeah, it's a great time of the year, and I'd like to see the Cardinals and the Yankees in this series, because I think the Cardinals are the only team. Well, besides, I think the Marlins won't beat the Yankees, but I think the Cardinals are the only team who's got the better of the Yankees in 3 out of 5 World Series.
Wow. Yeah, the Cardinals are a storied franchise too, in their own right.
But the years they played in the World Series were 1926, 1927, 1942, 1943, and 1964.
Yeah, that 64 team had Bob Gibson, right?
Yeah, Oh, it was 1920, 1928. 27, the Yankees played the Pirates. In 1926, against the Cardinals, Babe Ruth got thrown out at second for the last out of the World Series. So.
Oh, my God. Man. Yeah, Babe Ruth, you ever see that movie with Tommy Lee Jones about Ty Cobb?
Yeah.
I like the part where he says, "You must have something nice to say about Ruth," and he's like, "He ran pretty well for a fat guy." Yeah.
You know, it's a shame from all the latest info, you know, we've gotten. Ty Cobb was given a bum rap. He really wasn't, you know, the player, the guy that, you know, they made him out to be. He actually turned out to be a decent guy.
I mean, he built a hospital. I mean, he donated money to the schools. I mean, he did a lot of good with the money he earned. I mean, and he left it all towards charities when he died.
Yeah, and you know, he became a millionaire from the Coca-Cola. He invented, he invested in Coca-Cola. So
and he was one who believed he believed the game should be played by a man getting, singling and then moving him over and manufacturing a run. He hated the home run, which is one of the reasons I guess he didn't get along with Babe Ruth. At least the legend goes.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Babe changed the game. Everything was, the Big Bang Theory with the Babe and Ty. They wanted to play small ball, working around. I'll tell you an interesting story about Ty Cobb. The Red Sox had a third baseman. His name was Larry Gardner. And Ty used to be a great bunter, but he had trouble getting a bunt single with Larry Gardner playing third for the Red Sox and the Indians. So after his career was done, he asked Gardner why he always knew he was going to bunt. And he says, before you bunted, you always used to lick your lips.
Holy cow. That's being observant.
Now, I don't know if that's 100% true story, but it's something to research, to say the least.
Yeah, I also heard that Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb got into a fight at home plate. Is that true? Do you know?
I never heard anything like that. I know, like, at the after they retired, they used to play a lot of golf together. But they were both intense competitors, so it wouldn't surprise me. I think in the old days they used to fight a lot. They fight a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it is true that Ty Cobb sent 12 men to the hospital in one season, right, with the spikes?
I heard the story, but I never did enough research on it. But the spikes back then, I mean, you got spiked back then. You really got spiked. They were real spikes.
I mean, he was a great player. I mean, he batted over 400 a couple times, right?
Yeah, and the interesting thing, when he hit, his hands were spread. They always tell you when you hit, keep your hands together. Well, he had his hands, there was like maybe an inch or so between his hands when he hit. Better back control.
Yeah, I'm looking at his stats. In 1911, he batted .419, and the following year he batted .409. And then in 1922, he batted .401. He finished with a lifetime batting average of .366.
Now, late in his career, Robert, check it if you got the stats in front of you. He played with the Philadelphia A's?
Yeah. The last 2 years, yeah.
Was that 29 and 30 or?
27 and 28.
Okay, because, after the Yankee dynasty, 26, 27, 28, the Philadelphia A's from 29, 30, and 31 had, some of the greatest teams in the history of baseball. I mean, that's how. If you check the stats, they were incredible, because the Yankees still had Ruth, Gehrig, and all the big boys, but the A's had a better team. With Al Simmons and Cochran, I believe, and they were just tremendous.
Yeah, he played 24 years. In his last 2 years, he batted .357 and then .323 in his last year.
Yeah, I mean, when they talk about the great hitters of all time, they still mention, Ty Cobb.
Yeah. I mean, wow. But what are you looking for out of this series coming up?
Well, Robert, I'm a lifelong Yankee fan, so I always vote. So asking me who's going to win is like my opinion is prejudice. So I've been picking the Yankees every year to win since 1964. So I'm going with the Yankees.
Yeah, I picked them to win it in 6 this year. I think they can do that, win it in 6. I think they beat Greinke in Game 1, and I think I'm hoping they steal Game 2 from Verlander, and we'll go back to New York up 2-0.
Yeah, I hope it's Game 6 too, because Game 7, when they face Cole, 6 games will be good. You don't want to go to Game 7.
No, it's got to be a great. Some people saying this is the World Series because the Dodgers being out of it and all, but this is a huge series. This will be a good series to watch.
Well, I remember years ago, Robert, when the Dodgers played the A's, and the A's had Canseco and McGuire and all these guys, and when they played the Dodgers and the A's, people thought the A's just going to roll over the Dodgers. That's when Gibson hit the homer.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers come up and won. So you really don't know. That's why they play the game on the field.
I could still remember Eckersley's expression when Gibson hit that home run. It was almost like complete shock.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's what makes it special. October memories, they last a lifetime.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm hoping we get good pitching, good starting pitching. If we get good starting pitching, I think we can win this series, and I'm going to pick them in 6.
Well, I'll go with that too, because like I say, I don't want to see him face Cole in Game 7.
No, guy's on another planet right now.
You want to mention anything about the Giants, Robert? Or?
Yeah, it was one of the most entertaining bad games I've seen so far this year. I mean, the Giants were without their starting running back, their top wide receiver, their top tight end, who's their best receiver on the team. They're without their backup running back. It was just brutal. Daniel Jones threw 3 interceptions. Patriots defense is the best in the NFL. I mean, their secondary, it's hard to throw on them. And the Patriots, they had trouble too. Tom Brady had trouble too. Giants actually were in the game. It was 14-14. And then the Patriots went up 21-14 at halftime, but it was still 21-14 going into the fourth quarter. And then turnovers and mistakes just killed the Giants, and the Patriots ran away with it. The final score was 35-14.
Yeah, I thought the Giants' defense did play really well. They were flying around, most of the game, and they were really aggressive. But the Patriots' secondary is just incredible. Jones sometimes was making excellent passes, and they were just knocking them away at the last minute. So
yeah.
The Patriots get better.
He was making some really good throws into tight windows, but like you said, the Patriots they were smacking them down, and they really are a good defense. And the Giants, surprisingly, their defense is playing better week by week. It was just yesterday they were on the field way too long. Time of possession was completely slanted in New England's favor.
Yeah. They pretty much, dominated the game, even though the score was close. You just had a feeling that, the Giants are just hanging on, and the Patriots is just a play or two away from, breaking everything open.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones, since first game against Tampa, I think he's been picked off 6 times in his last 3 games. And he's been struggling. So, what you hope now is just to have him develop this year, so he's ready to go next year. Hopefully, he apparently he's very bright. He learns from his mistakes, so you just want to see him get better as the year goes on and not make the same mistakes over and over again. But he does like to take chances throwing the football.
Well, I mean, you at least like to see a guy. He's aggressive, he's confident, but he's young and he doesn't have a lot of experience. So there's going to be some great games, and there's going to be some tough learning experiences too.
Yeah, well, one of them led to he held on to the ball too long in one play, and he got hit in the arm as he tried to throw it, and it wound up getting intercepted. And he's got to learn to, if no one's open, either take off with it or throw it away. But you can't stand back there for 6, 7, 8 seconds and hope to complete a pass.
Yeah,
not against New England, at least.
No, against the Bucks that'll work. Or against some other defenses that'll work. But when you're playing against the better teams, if the play's not there immediately, you got to get rid of the ball. But that'll come with experience. I mean, it's just being aggressive, and that's a positive thing. At least he's trying to be aggressive and make plays. Yeah,
and I think he once some of the players get back healthy, like Barkley, the star running back, and his receivers Sterling Shepard and tight end Evan Ingram, he'll have more weapons and more help offensively.
Yeah. So I mean, getting Golden Tate. I mean, he made a great play last night. He made a couple. Really good.
Yeah, he had a nice 64-yard touchdown catch. I mean, Daniel Jones put it right there, and he bobbled it for a second, but caught it and ran into the end zone. Perfect throw and nice catch. And Golden Tate's one of the best run after catch. I mean, he has some of the highest yards after the catch in the NFL, so he'll be a nice addition for sure.
Yeah, that's a big, that's a good guy to get back in the lineup, and hopefully when Barkley comes back, there'll be even more help for Jones and the Giants. What's the schedule coming up, Robert, for the Giants?
I think they play. Who do they play next week? I think their schedule I think they play the Lions and then the Cardinals. So I think their schedule gets a little bit easier. I know their bye week's week 11, and then the second half of their schedule is brutal. They got to play all the teams in their division. They play the Cardinals next at home, and then they go to Detroit, and then they got the Cowboys, Packers, Bears. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They got the Jets after the Cowboys, then the Bears, then the Packers. The Cardinals and Lions could be winnable games, but then the Cowboys is a tough game. The Jets, a toss-up. I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think 6-10 is realistic. I think they could go 6-10 this year.
Well, I mean, we'll see what we see, but the Giants have struggled for a long time, as has the Jets, and winter sports in New York has been tough. With the Rangers had some good season, but the Knicks have been terrible, and the Giants and the Jets have been struggling. So it's like it's not fun to be a New York sports fan in the winter.
No, I mean, and the one thing in the NFL, you got to be able to run the ball and play defense, especially late in the year. Because I mean, the one thing about defense, you can take it with you on the road. I mean, a good defense, it goes a long way, as does a running game.
Yeah, I mean, when you get down into the cities, it's snowing or it's raining and it's cold. You have to be able to control the ball and run the ball. So, we'll see what we see.
Yeah, and the thing that bothers me is the offensive line play is so horrible in the NFL nowadays because of the collective bargaining agreement. You're not allowed to practice that often in pads anymore. And offensive line, I mean, they really need those reps, those hitting. That I mean, they got to play as a unit. And when you don't have enough practice time, a lot of these offensive linemen don't develop for years. It takes them years to develop.
Well, that's the thing. If you don't have the fat asses up front on offense and defense, you really don't have much of a team. And if you sign a free agent, and one guy misses a block or blows an assignment, the play goes to hell. I mean, you have to have that continuity all the time, and it makes it tough. When you don't have it, it makes it impossible, pretty much.
Yeah, and the rules, they favor the quarterback so much. I mean, you can't hit them low, you can't hit them high, you can't fall on them, and that's why you're seeing so many of the quarterbacks putting up big numbers nowadays. Because I mean, they're not allowed to be hit. And Lawrence Taylor made a comment that if he played in today's era, he wouldn't see a game check because it would all be going to fines.
Yeah, it used to be, like when the defensive players, you're out to knock the quarterback out of the game. You're out to injure the quarterback. And now it's like, the fans want to see high-scoring games, and in a lot of ways, these games are like arena football. Yeah,
and now you got you can review pass interference. So, the receivers, you're not even allowed to put your hands on them after 5 yards. I mean, you can't even touch them. I mean, it's really making it an offensive league and handicapping the defense, what they can and can't do. I mean, they want the scoring now. They want like you said, the fans and the attendance and the ratings. Points are good.
Yeah. Well, that's what the new millenniums want to see. They want to see a lot of points. You don't want to see a 12-9 game anymore or a 10-6. You want to see a 35-31, and that's what we're seeing a lot of. So
yeah,
it's not going to change anytime soon.
No, I've already stopped watching basketball because they don't play defense. I'm wavering on the NFL a little bit. I'm going to hang in there a little bit longer, but in baseball, they're going analytical. I mean, everything's changing.
No, I mean, I'm not anywhere near the fan I used to be. I mean, I used to watch all the sports all the time, and now, I could really, for the most part, I still care, but I'm not anywhere near the fan I used to be. I was watching an NBA game the other night, and on 10 trips down the court, they shot like 8 3-pointers.
Yeah, it's all 3-pointers and uncontested dunks. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, it's just a shame, now, like even the college game, we're talking basketball now, college game, they're shooting all threes. And I think, when kids who want to learn to play basketball, they watch this and they want to go out and shoot 3-pointers. So they don't want to work on their, a 5-foot shot or a foul shot. They all want to shoot, the 20-footers, and they can't make them. I mean, you get a guy like Larry Bird, who was just, a tremendous shooter, one of the greatest shooters of all time, and Jerry West. Yeah. And they would practice, they'd stand at the foul line and shoot hundreds and hundreds of shots, because that's what you want to do. You want to perfect your skills.
Yeah, and that's like, I remember Chris Mullin. He had from 15 feet out, he could hit it all the time. He was one of those guys with the great mid-range jumper. I mean, like you said, Bird, even Michael Jordan developed a mid-range shot. I mean, he was deadly from 15 feet out. I mean, but you don't see that a lot in today's games. They're all hiking up 3-pointers.
No, and I remember when the NBA first got the 3-point shot. It was in the ABA first, when the ABA was a fun league to watch. But anyway, when the NBA first got it, it wasn't really a factor that much. Maybe late in the game, but the line was there, but it wasn't a big part of the offense, because everybody would be shooting 12-footers, 15-footers, 16-footers. And, the defense, they usually didn't pick up, their man until after the half court. So now, they're pressing all the way, and it's just a different game. If it's played well it's fun to watch. It's great to watch. If the Warriors and the other teams are playing great, Toronto, it's great to watch. But if they're not playing well, it's a horror show.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up loving the late '80s, '90s basketball. I mean, I was a huge fan of MJ and the Bulls. They played great half court offense and they played great team defense. But I mean, in offense, there were set plays. I mean, you ran an offense. Nowadays, it just seems like whoever has the ball just wants to go one-on-one to the basket or take the 3-point.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what it is, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah. Considering we got a 7-game series here, you want to do a show early next week?
Yeah, we can do that, Robert. We can do that.
They're off on Monday, and you want to try Monday after the first 2 games?
Yeah, we can do it. We can do a short show on Monday, so that hopefully it'll be a fun.
Yeah, hopefully we're up 2-0. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, we'll do something on Monday.
All right, that sounds good, Jack.
Okay, Robert. Thank you, and everybody out there, enjoy the series. Have a good night.
Have a good night, everyone.
The proceeding has been a comfortably zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.